And so we are going to give you, in the next 7 weeks, we are going to give you one at a time a new habit. 7 is the complete number of God, right? So in the next 7-8 weeks, or in this series, I'm going to give you one habit a week to start working on. And what it's going to do is each week, it will change your life radically. Okay? And the reason is this. Because I'm going to give you one today that you're going to do every day this whole week. So that when you come back next Sunday, you'll have already developed this habit. Next week, I'll give you habit number 2, which we'll bring in there, and you will say, well, what about habit number 1? Habit number 1, you're already doing. You got it. It's inbred in your life, and this will build upon it. And this will help you, every one of you. This is called Win the Day. W-I-N. I know a lot of you are tired of losing. You're tired of being beaten down. You're tired of everything that's going on. I'm going to show you through God's Word how to change that. How I learned a long time ago how to be successful in my Christian walk. I've got a lot of stories because I'm going to bring some of the studies that have been done that have brought a lot of people thinking, wow, but yet they're out of God's Word. I was listening this week. There is a gentleman, he's in his late 60s, early 70s. He lost his mother to Alzheimer's. He's lost his sisters and his brothers, his grandparents, his aunts and uncles, all to Alzheimer's. And he's thinking, okay, he's now stopped his practice that he had. And for the last 15 years has been studying people with Alzheimer's. Trying to figure out, is this genetic? Because think about it, and Diane and I were discussing this. My grandparents, my one grandparents on my mom's side, they died in their 50s, 50s, 60s. My grandparents on my dad's side, they lived into their 70s, I believe, or maybe their 80s. Diana's dad lived to be 89. Her mother died at age 65, but she had a bad heart ever since she was 40. And so she died of a heart attack. And her dad died of a heart attack too. But all of this. But this guy started doing research and trying to find out, is this genetic? And he found out that something was happening. That there is this substance that's being produced. And it goes to the brain. And in trying to figure out how does this get produced? What is it that's causing all of this that is found in the brains of those who have Alzheimer's? And studying it. Here's what he found. He had a control group, and it's not a big control group, and he admitted it. It was like 50 people. But every one of them were basically at the same level. One of them was a gentleman who loved to play the bagpipes, but he got Alzheimer's. And with this, he had to give up playing the bagpipe, which was bringing enjoyment to his life. because he couldn't remember the notes anymore. And he had to play by memory. And his memory was fading. He's been in a study group for about 5 years. And they've been watching the progression of each one. One in the control group and one in the uncontrolled. They were basically do their own thing. In the control group, this guy was bawling in his interview. He says, my life is totally changed. I still have Alzheimer's. It's still there. But guess what? I can play my bagpipe now. My memory has come back to being able to remember those notes again. It's like relearning all over again. I'm able to do things that I found myself struggling with. Here's what he found out. They stopped eating processed foods and started eating basically natural foods. Because they're finding out that a lot of the stuff that we're eating in our preservatives and everything else is killing us in ways that we don't even know. We think we're gaining knowledge, but we're losing lives. You found out if you do this, 5 to 10 minutes a day, just meditate. Now, some people do yoga. My legs don't yoga. Okay? If I could get my legs in a yoga position, you would have to carry me to the car. You would have to carry me everywhere else because my legs would be stuck in a yoga position. And that would not be good. Okay? Because my legs are like chicken legs anyway. And you ever seen a chicken leg stuck in yoga position? What an imagination to give you. But anyway, I believe it is God that says to meditate on his word daily. Cool. Also found out if we exercised 15 minutes to 30 minutes a day, it would cause certain activity to the brain that would stop all of this. Isn't that amazing? And why do I say that? Because they've come out with a pill now that they're saying it's changing Alzheimer's. And he's saying, okay, that's good. But here's what I'm warning you about. Remember a few years ago, they came out with COVID. And remember how quickly they got vaccines, they said, that would help you with COVID. Well, a little tidbit of information came out this year, or in the last week. Remember you got your COVID shots for free? No, you didn't. You paid for it. Because the government gave Pfizer, Moderna, and all of them billions of dollars. Billions of dollars for those vaccines. There was a little tidbit of information that came out this week. $700 to $800 million went to some of those people who worked for the NIA, scientists for the government, got $700 to $800 million in royalties back paid to them from Pfizer, Moderna, and all of them. So, this is just the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, of what's happening. And this is why today we're going to talk about flip the script. On April the 20th in 1913, and I got all these stories, and I have to read these, okay, because I can't remember them all, because I'm old. But on April the 20th in 1913, just a few years before I was born, Sir William Osler delivered a speech at Yale University. It was a simple speech, or a simple message. But I'm not going to give you the speech. I'm just going to give you the cliff notes, okay? And the cliff notes can be this whole speech could be brought down in 4 words. And these four words are, live in day-tight compartments. That's easier said than done. Live in day-tight. Day-tight is a hyphenated word. So that makes it the 3rd word. I know some of you are saying that's 5 words. No, that's 4 words. Okay, day-tight compartments. But what I'm saying is this, that if you can learn to live in day-tight compartments, you are going to be able to find a solution to thousands of your problems. Okay? Let me give you this. According to a psychologist by the name of Matthew Killingsworth and another by the name of Daniel Gilbert, they did a study. They say the average person spends 46.9% of their time thinking about something other than what they're doing in the present time. That means that right now, half of what you are thinking about is not right now. Half of what you're thinking about right now is, what am I going to do after church? What did I do yesterday? Think about it. Almost half. Almost half. Or in other words, what's happening is we're living in the wrong time zone. Because why? We're depressed about the past. We're worried about the future. There's a lot of things back here that's caused me a lot of issues, that's caused me a lot of problems, a lot of things back here that I never even want to think about, but I do. And then there's all of this up here that I get concerned about. What's going to happen to me tomorrow? Am I going to get Alzheimer's? When COVID was going around, everybody was concerned. Am I going to be the next one? When I get this, is this going to happen to me? Is this going to happen to me? Is this going to happen to me? We shut down our schools. We shut down our economy. We shut down a lot of stuff. And we found out all of the issues and all of the problems that we were worried about COVID was worse than COVID could have ever done to us. It set us on on things that we're never going to recover from, because it's already inbred into our lives. Think about it. How many people do you still see out on the streets with masks on? Yeah, they're everywhere. Even in the hospitals, they've gone back to. You know, but before you walked into a hospital, and if you had a disease and it was communicable, yeah, they put you in a room in an isolation, and the people wore stuff, and then they came back out and everything was fine. But now we're worried when somebody sneezes, are we going to catch it? And failing to realize that even with the mask wearing, and they told us to stay 6 feet apart, there was nothing scientific about it, and they finally admitted it was all made up. It was something that happened back in 1918 of the Spanish flu that killed everybody, because it was the flu and it spread out in droplets. Whereas this was not a flu. It would come out and drop. Okay? I rest my case. But anyway, so what happens is this. Because we're only thinking about what's going on right now, about 46.9% of the time, or a little bit over, what is that? That makes it 53.1% of the times. Half the time, we're half present. Because we're off somewhere else. We're worried about the future or worried about the past. We're not living for like right now. So, which means we're either half alive and we're only half present. So to be fully alive, we've got to learn to be fully present. Okay? And the only way to be fully present and fully alive is to learn how to live in a day-tight compartment. Now this is what psychologists and scientists have done with their research. But in order to be successful, we have to live in a day-tight compartment. And so let's go to the smartest psychologist there ever was. The only one that I know that has more than half a brain. And let's hear what that person said. Give us this day our daily bread. Okay? I think living in a day-tight compartment is not a good idea. It is a God idea. Give us this day our daily bread. Take up your cross daily. This is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. His mercies are new every morning. Don't let the sun go down on your anger. Don't worry about tomorrow. So what's the bottom line? Yesterday is history. Tomorrow's a mystery. So our job is to win the day. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. That's a mystery. So since it's a mystery, why am I really concerned about it? I can't correct history. I can't. Okay? It happened. It's there. I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything about it. But I can do something about this. Right here and right now. So I don't know whatever goal you're going for. I don't know what problem that you're trying to solve, what habit that you have that you're trying to break or build. But I do know the secret to success, it's going to happen one day at a time. Not yesterday or not tomorrow. So you and I have to learn how to win the day. The day. Right here, right now. And then you have to get up tomorrow and do it all over again. And get up tomorrow and do it all over again. Now you understand where I'm coming from? If you learn this habit today, you will get up tomorrow and do it again. Do you ever get up and it feels like history has repeated itself? Well, guess what? You got through it, so get through it today. And tomorrow, I'll get through it again. And tomorrow, I'll get through it again. Why? Because I've developed a pattern on how to deal with this. I've learned. And we continue to build on this time after time and after time. Do you know what winning 2 days in a row is? It's a winning streak. Right? Cincinnati Reds had all kinds of losing streaks this year. I mean, they were losing 7 in a row, 8 in a row. Now they started. They won 1 game. The only way you can get on a winning streak is if you win that day. You win that day. They got 2 games. They got 3 games. They got 4 games, 5 games, 6. Now they're at 7. And they've come from the bottom of their standings to second place. They didn't do that by losing. They built a pattern of success by winning. And they didn't win by looking at what they did yesterday and how they lost. They look at how they won today and what do I get into doing. They started setting records of the number of runs scored within a certain period of time now in all of these things. And here's what we're going to do over the next 7 weeks. We're going to start unpacking things to help build habits that will get you on a winning streak. And your attitude's going to change. And we're going to do this. We're starting out with, these are just things that I kind of came up with to give to you. This one is flip the script. Next week, we're going to kiss the wave. Week after that, we're going to eat the frog. The week after that, we're going to fly the kite. We're going to cut the rope. We're going to wind the clock. And then last but not least, we're going to see the clouds. So we're going to learn these things. But listen, anything can be accomplished when you work at it long enough and hard enough. Okay? And smart enough. Too many times what we've done is we try to work hard enough and we think we've worked long enough, but we haven't worked smart enough. And that's what we're trying to teach you this morning, is how to do this. Because of this, you and I are more capable of what we think. And you want to know why? Because God is able, the scripture says, to do immeasurably more than all we can ask or imagine. Get out of the way and let him work. Okay? That said, do you know that 75% of all New Year's resolutions fall or fail within the first month? The first month. Why? Because when you sit down and you start thinking about a year timeline, it's hard to measure. That's why I said we're doing this one day at a time. One day at a time for the next year. We're developing these habits to do these things. So, we're going to come back to these things. And here's the thing. Pick a habit. Pick a habit that you would like to do. Can you do it for one day? And most of us, we can. We can do it for one day. Now, here's what happens. They start asking you what's your life goals? And so you set this goal out here, and they say, okay, how are you going to achieve that? You can't achieve that life goal until you're able to break that life goal down into small, measurable, and achievable tasks. Because when you look at it in the big picture, all of it, how do I get there? But if I can break it down into small, manageable tasks, and I start doing those tasks little by little by little by little, guess what? I've achieved a lifetime goal. When you and I got saved, what was our lifetime goal to be? Very simple, to be like Jesus. So let me ask you this question. When you got down, and I'm talking about when you sincerely gave your life to Jesus, and you got up from there, whether you were a kid or an adult, were you able to quote every verse in this book? Were you even able to tell me where something was in the book? I know it's in there somewhere because I heard it when I was little. Well, guess what? It may not have been in there when you heard it when you were little because maybe they told you the wrong story. Okay? They told you what they thought was in this book because some of them couldn't even read it. You laugh. I had preachers who preached by memory. And they only had a few sermons. And I kept wondering, why are they preaching the same sermon over and over and over again? Because they couldn't read. They could only memorize. And that's all they had. They did a good job. A lot of people were saved under the preaching. It wasn't their preaching, it was God's preaching anyway, okay? But even though they could only preach 4 or 5 sermons, God used those 4 or 5 sermons to save lots of people. I was one of them. Okay? So I know it can occur, and I know it can happen. If God wants it to happen, it can happen by getting a dog to wolf a message, if you can understand it. Because he had a donkey talk, and I've seen some donkeys in the pulpit too. But anyway, we learn it by breaking. I don't learn. From the day that I got saved to now, I'm still not like Jesus totally and completely. Every day I'm learning how to refine some things to make it easier tomorrow or the next day or the next day. A lot of times people say, man, you don't get mad. You don't get upset. I get concerned. Okay? I used to get mad real bad. Okay? And I found out, you know what? Getting mad hurts. Not me, the person I'm talking to. Because I feel good by the time I've told them off. You know? But then later it hurts. It doesn't make you feel any better. So I've learned, you know what? He's got it. He's controlling this, not me. And so I got to hurry. Man, I'm on page 2. Okay, so go with me, if you would, to Genesis chapter 50 and verse number 20. I think I've got it up there. And if you'll give it to me. Remember this guy by the name of Joseph. Okay? Joseph was, his brothers, man, they got upset with him. They were mad at him. You know, hey, you know, God loves you better than us. Dad loves you. Your mom loves you. And you got this dream that we're going to all bow down to you. And you hear all of these things that were going on. But this is going to be a 2-week sermon. I'm sorry, guys. Okay? It's going to be 2 because I just got to get through this. Okay. But anyway, here's what it says. It says, you planned evil against me. God planned it for good to bring about the present result, the survival of many people. Now, I told you, I'm going back from man and God, okay? Because there is a thing, there's a science of what is called cybernetics. And in cybernetics, it teaches you that there are 2 types of change, okay? The first order is this. Change is behavioral. It's doing something more or less, okay? So it's a change in your behavior. For instance, if you're trying to lose weight, if you eat less, you exercise more, Those are steps in the right direction of helping you to lose weight, right? Okay. So what happens is the first order that this change comes about in cybernetics are trying to tell you that this can facilitate a quick fix. Okay? For instance, you go in here and you know you need to lose a little bit of weight, and so you go out and you start exercising and you start eating right, and the next thing you notice, cool, I'm losing weight, right? I get on the scales tomorrow and I've lost 4 ounces. That's cool. We're moving in the right direction, right? I go out and I exercise. You know, hey, that's sitting in the recliner, going like this exercise. That if I could just do that a little bit more, maybe I could lose more weight. But no, I got to get up and move and do something. So I get up and I do a little bit more the next day. I get on the scales. Okay. Bad thing about it is a lot of times what we do is we get on the scales every day, and that's really not good sometimes. Sometimes we need to do a time frame, a weekly or something, time instead of day by day, because here's what happens when we do day by day. I get on the first day, I lost some weight. Cool, I got motivation. I get on the second day, I lose some weight. Man, I got this. I'm going. Third day, something happened. And guess what? I gained my weight back. And when I gained my weight back, this isn't working. So tomorrow, what do? I start eating a little bit more. So some of these are quick fixes, okay? So that's one. But the second change is one that is called conceptual change, okay? And this is one of those mind over matter, okay? And you hear him talk about this. And what happens is this, that everything is created twice. Do you understand me here? Everything is created twice. What do I mean? The first thing is created mentally. The second is internally. I think about it, I do it. I think about it, and then I do it. But the second creation is physical or external. So everything is created twice. Internally, externally. Thought, action. Okay? That is there. So, you think about this for a minute. Think about you. What did God say? He said, even before you were in your mother's womb, I knew everything about you. God had a thought. This is scary. Because every once in a while I've had somebody say, what in the world was your mom and dad thinking about when they had you? And you know what? I got it. It wasn't my mom and dad's idea. It was God's. Yeah. If you got a problem with it, talk to them about that. But you think about it for a minute. God, you were a thought. You, every one of you were a thought, and God was thinking about. And so what did God do? He brought this person and this person together and created from them his thought. It was a thought, internal to an external. Hang on to that idea. It gets better. Because you and I are a unique creation of God's imagination. That blows me away to know that the imagination had nothing to do with my mom and my dad. The imagination was God's. My mom and dad were just part of the creation of his imagination. And so, to see yourself as worthless, to see yourself as nothing, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely absurd. Because you, everyone are from God's imagination. The sun, the moon, the stars, the rivers, the waters, the sea, the animals, every one of them was a part of God's imagination. And God took something and created from his imagination to make those things. And how wonderful and beautiful and unique that everything is made. And to think about this, there has never been, never will be anything ever like you. Anyone. You are absolutely unique. How much more do we need to know to help us to win this day? So let me say this to you. So, if there's never been and never will be anyone like you, there is not a testament. That is not a testament to you. That is a testament to the God who created you. Okay? And the significance is this, that no one can worship God like you or for you. No one can serve God like you or for you. You are the only one that can worship for you and like you. No one else can serve like you or for you. The problem is today, ladies and gentlemen, what we want is we have created a society which says that I deserve this from you. You are here to serve me. Let me say this to you. The only thing that I know that was ever created to serve us was government. We were not to serve the government. The government is elected to serve us. Okay? And what we've done now is now we're telling them, I'm going to serve you. What do I mean? Okay. Let's go for it. You work. What do? They take your money. And what do they do with your money? Give your money to Pfizer and Moderna so that they can pay people who are already getting a federal government salary extras. Where did that extras come from? It came from me. Okay? I'm having problems with even a president who serves 4 years getting a lifetime salary. When they're writing books and everything else, go write your books and make your money. Why should I pay for everything? You know? So this is what I'm saying. We're being sold a bill of goods, and our lifestyles are now being manufactured to fit into that mold, and this is not the mold that God wants us to do. We are created for a purpose to serve God. Every one of us, uniquely, and nobody can do it for you. Nobody can. Not me. I am only responsible, ladies and gentlemen, I am only responsible for me. I deliver the sermons. You are responsible on how you react and what you do with them. If I tell you that I'm serious about serving, I'm serious about serving. I told my wife, the last couple of years have changed me because I live day by day, no regrets. When I go to sleep tonight, I want no regrets. Did I do everything? No, but guess what? I couldn't change it. I just got to do better tomorrow. And I just keep on plugging. So, yeah. I'm going to stop at a time, okay, and come back because this is going to take long. But here's what you need to understand. Right now, in one day, you know how many thoughts go through your mind? On the average? How many? I didn't hear you, Denver. About that many? A little bit more than that. It's not millions. It's not millions or billions. 60,000 thoughts. Break that down. How many thoughts are going through your mind in a second? In a minute? 60,000. Okay, so that's like about 24 hours. So in 24 hours, that's roughly about 2,500. 48, 12, yeah. 20, man, this brain is cool. That's 2,500 thoughts in an hour. Okay, 2,500, and if you break that down into 60 minutes, that's roughly about 400 thoughts in a minute. 60 seconds, so that means roughly 460. That's roughly about six thoughts a second. On the average. Or 6 a minute. Something like that. Okay? Our brain is constantly firing all kinds of thoughts. Okay? And this was done by the Cleveland Clinic. 60,000 thoughts a day. 80%, which is 48,000 of those are negative. 48,000 negative thoughts a day on the average. That's a good day. So what's that saying? Houston, we got a problem. Here's what God says. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Again, where is your heart? As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if we are thinking 60,000 thoughts a day on the average, and 60% of those thoughts are negative, no wonder we have a negative society. No wonder we have a negative Christianity. We've got to change the habits. We've got to win today. We've got to flip the script. Because until we flip the script, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be suckered in and sucked in to be exactly like the world. That negativity will show in everything you do and your reactions with other people. And so when we learned to flip the script, then we learn to do what it is that he's asking us to do. Okay? So, how about if I stop here and we'll pick up Joseph next week as we set the scene. I could go on for another 2 hours. And this is why I write down my thoughts. And I understand that sometimes I get away from my thoughts, but these are my thoughts and stuff. But I got a lot more to go. But I want you to, I'm not just going to leave you alone. And I'm not going to continue next week with habit number 2. Because I want you to understand something. And to start getting it straight. It is time that the bride of Christ gets prepared for the wedding. It's more than time. Back when Jesus was with his disciples, they kept trying their best to do what they thought was right in protecting him. Isolating him away from everybody that they knew that was out to get him. And they thought they were trying to do right by doing this. And he kept trying to tell them, no, you don't understand. I came here for a purpose. That last week he says, I've got to go to Jerusalem. And they kept saying, Lord, you don't want to go to Jerusalem. When you walk into Jerusalem, they want to kill you. Lord, just bypass it and go on so you can live for another day. And he says, no, you don't understand. This isn't about me living for another day. This is about me dying for an eternity. I have to do this. You see, God, my Father had a thought. He imagined a way that he could create something that would be sufficient for him as a way to cover the sin of mankind. He had that thought, and he used 2 teenagers and created that thought in me. And my purpose for these 33 years has to go from that manger in a stable to that wooden cross on a hill, to die cruel, but for all to see that he loves them enough to forgive them for what they're going to do. And so what we've got to do is to understand that not only did he create him to live and die for us, ladies and gentlemen, but he created Jesus to be our groom and we to be his bride. And for us to be a bride that is pure and cleansed, not by what we do, but rather what he does through us. And the only way that we can really truly be that bride, ladies and gentlemen, is to learn how to win daily. We win the day. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. but this moment. And the only way we can do that is get serious. I don't know about you, but when I was a little kid playing, Little League Baseball and playing Babe Ruth, or even when I got later on as an adult, I hated to lose. That's why I don't play games. I hate to lose. Okay? Well, guess what? This is no game. Because I'm not losing this game. He created me for a purpose, and my job is to find that purpose and do it the best that I can. Your job is to find your purpose and to do it to the best of your ability. Not somebody else's yesterday or tomorrow. Okay? But you and I are part of his story. His story. Or history. You can either change it or let it change you.